Alrighty, folks. It's a nice host. Welcome back for some more Crash Landing. Pakratt isn't here for this episode. Our recording time got a little screwed up this week. Mostly my fault, but anyway. We didn't get this second episode done, so we decided we're both going to do a little single-player update. I'm going to work a little more on the big reactor, and I think Pac's going to work a little more on this guy right here. So that's the auto crafting thing. It's partially done, but it takes a lot of pieces and a lot of the LX 300s. So it's pretty expensive. One thing you might notice is the redstone energy cell that is always here is gone. It's now down here because we wanted to run the power underground, but it was actually tapping directly off of the engines. And again, as we go offline, these engines run out of power. Well, run out of mob essence, run out of gunpowder, whatever. And since it was the AE system was on the input side or the engine side of the energy cell, it basically ran out of power and the ME system shut off while I was getting prepared. So I was like, oh shoot. So went ahead and put that down there for now. Once we get the big reactor a little bit better shape, then that shouldn't be a problem anymore. Okay, so I have done a bit of work on big reactors and looked up a few things, researched some stuff, did a few test builds. And I mean, you can go as big and as powerful and crazy with these as you want, but I want to make a good, efficient, reasonably powerful, small big reactor. Little big reactor. I don't know. Now, Pakratt may come back when he does his single-player one and convert that over to some huge reactor. I don't know, but we'll see. At any rate, so I already made up a control rod, which I kind of shift-clicked and just it went. And I was like, oh, right, I should do that on camera. Anyway, the only complaint or pain here is you got to make these 300s. The 300s take the 100, plus flux electrum and extra of these, and these take all sorts of transistors and capacitors, which means you need to farm a whole bunch of seeds. So yeah, the 300s are a bit of a pain. It just takes a bunch of steps plus a bunch of stuff you gotta go gather so that you've got all the pieces to put it together. So I'm only going to use one more of these. I could do two more, and it would actually be a little bit better even. But instead of the third one, third total, yeah, right. I'm going to use a graphite block, which is actually pretty good. There's 9 graphite, and I shift-clicked that already, by the way, and already made one of those. One thing I didn't click yet is I need to make a yellorium fuel rod, which is pretty simple, although it does take steel. But fortunately, we have some of that, so we're going to make one of those. And I think that's it. I'm going to add these 3 pieces to our system, and it's going to become significantly better. Do we have any signs made up? We have 2. Well, let's. I'm going to make up a couple more signs because I can't keep numbers in my head, especially while I'm recording. And we don't have any sticks. That was weird. I thought I didn't remove all of those, but whatever. Here's a stack of sticks. Go. Okay. Oops. And now you know what my mute key is. Sorry. Throat is still giving me a bit of trouble. So let me get a couple more signs here. And I wanted to just kind of discuss a little bit about the numbers and a little bit about what I'm going to do. Our reactor room has increased in size. I wonder what that could mean. Well, anyway, we're going to go ahead with this for now, and like I said, it may change by the time we get back. I don't know. Okay, so right now we have a, let's look inside. It's a 3x3x1 internal dimensions with diamond blocks, which are not bad, but not great. And this is going to give us, what is it, about 400? Well, it's a little bit low right now because we're about half a bucket worth of waste in there. But when it's full, when it's all yellorium and not waste, this is just under 400 RF per tick, and it's using 0.024 millibuckets, right? All right, so let me look this up. I actually did some, like I said, I did some test builds, looked up some things. So if you do a 1x1, which is the smallest, littlest, tiniest thing you can do, it's kind of a terrible build, but you can do it. It's just under 270 RF per tick. And it uses 0.03-ish millibuckets per tick. I won't do all these, but just a couple of these. And our current one is the 3x3 with the diamond block configuration. Again, oh, and this is still online. Let's turn it off. Again, about 390 and about, shoot, what was that? 0.25, because I think it uses more when it's putting more power out. So we'll go with that. So about 390 and 0.25 by 3 by 1 is about 290 and 0.25. Okay, so yeah, numbers, come on, 0.25. Okay, I can't type this morning or talk. Dang it. Maybe I shouldn't be recording this morning. Okay, so that's our old 3 by 3 by 1. Now we're going to change out just one little bit of things here. Let's go ahead. Okay, it's offline, which actually shouldn't really matter. I need to get this Enderium out of here without it flowing all over the place. So let's try to, let me see. Let me put my bucket right there and try to grab this. That's one thing, is Enderium is pretty good stuff, but it's kind of a pain to work with because it just teleports your stuff all over the place if you're not super, well, even if you are careful, because when you break those, it may just pop into there and you get Enderium everywhere. Okay, so that's good. Now we're going to break this. I'm probably going to lose the stuff that's in there right now, but that's fine. That's going to have to be the way it's going to be. Okay, so we're going to have to break you, sorry. And you guys go. So I am going to stick with Enderium. And we're going to do the fuel rods on the edges. Oh, I didn't use it up. Sweet. I must store it in the controller. Okay, and then we're going to put, obviously, the reactor controls on top of that. So instead of one in the middle, and typically you want your reactor rods isolated from the case, and then you put the Enderium or diamond blocks or whatever around the outside edge. But you also want, oh hey, look at that power cable right on top. Oh, and I'm getting hot. You also want more than one fuel rod so they interact with each other, because this guy's going to generate a bunch of radiation, and this guy's going to generate a bunch of radiation. And if these two can get at each other, then that actually makes more power and more efficiency. Now, you could leave this blank actually, but I'm going to put a graphite block in there, and I figured out that's actually pretty good stuff. Let's go ahead and get these out. Alright, and we're going to do 1 bucket of Enderium. Oh, I probably didn't. No. Let's put the sides back on first so we don't have Enderium flowing everywhere. Oh, how about that for an idea? Okay, we're going to put that there, that there, that there. And we're going to see pretty big improvements out of this. Just one little teeny tiny design change. And honestly, if you want to stick to the little big reactor idea, you could actually make this 3 by 1 interior instead of 3 by 3 interior, and it's almost as good. So you know, if you're in a hardcore pack and you don't have very many resources, you could actually make this quite a bit smaller and still get pretty, yeah, there we go, flow, and still get pretty darn good efficiency and power out of this thing. Now the flowing Enderium does work just as well as the source blocks, so don't worry about that. And I did check, and these north, south, east, and west is all that matters for your control rod or your fuel rods. So honestly, these corners or these two in the middle, the two source blocks, don't even matter because it's not going to affect anything. Okay, so we need, let's see, I guess it was reactor glass. I was thinking reactor whatever casings, but no, mostly glass. So that should be valid. All right, so we went from 290 at 0.025, and now we're going to have, oh, and it did keep the waste too. Well, of course it did, kept everything. Now we're going to have, keep going, keep going. There you go, 743, and again we have some waste in there, so this will go up a bit once that waste ejects. When the waste number gets to 1,000 millibuckets, it'll eject an actual cyanide ingot. That's going to take a while. So 743 at 0.016. So yeah, well, I guess it's still by 3 by 3 by 1. I'll go +2 or +1 control rod because that's 2 control rods. So what was it? 740 and 0.0.1, 0.14 or something. Dang it! I read a thing and totally forgot. And like I said, I had to use signs. 16 and 740 because signs. All right, so that's off by 2, but whatever. I'm not going to break it and replace it right now. Okay, so the worst thing you can do is make a 1 by 1 by 1. That gives you 270 and 0.03. and that's very little power and very inefficient. I thought by making it a little bigger and putting the Enderium around the outside, I was doing something good. Well, a little bit, not really. Very, 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 very little change from the 1 by 1 by 1. Now if you get the two fuel rods interacting with each other, you get a higher reactivity, and you can see we've more than doubled our power, and we've lowered the amount of Elorium it's going to use. So our efficiency is really, I think it's more than triple. Yeah, it's more than triple. So we've more than doubled the power, more than tripled the efficiency. And here's, I guess I didn't point it out, but here's your fuel reactivity. With one fuel rod, this is always 100%. Now that there's two fuel rods, it's over 300%. Part of that is because the two fuel rods are interacting with each other, and part of that is that graphite block in the middle. Is it graphite block in the middle also helps to focus the what is it, reactivity back and forth. So that's my quick upgrade to make this thing more efficient. Now the next thing I want to do is upgrade it. Oh, I know what I'm missing. Yes, the Reactor RedNet port. So for that, I'm going to need to grab a couple more things. Let me get some cables and the RedNet controller together, and then we'll come back and we'll put that in, and we'll automate this guy so that it can just stay on. I'll turn it off for now. Automate this guy so that it can just stay on all the time, even if we're offline. It won't be wasting power. Yeah, so I'll be back in a minute. Alright, and back. I made up a programmable RedNet controller, which does take a few things, a diamond, gold, blah blah blah, and a housing, which, redstone, whatever. So it's not too tough to make this up, and it's a pretty good little block to help us automate this reactor. There's a bunch of ways to do this, of course, so we don't have to do it this way, but this is what I'm going to use. Let's break that, try to grab it, yep, and get our Reactor RedNet port in there. Hello. Don't get me, dude. Okay, so there's the RedNet port. We got that from one of the quests, and this guy's ready to roll. So we can just turn them on manually, but then, let's see, I was going to put this on the floor, but let's put it up one. That way we can walk under it. Actually, we won't be able to because of cable. Whatever. I don't even know if you need a RedNet cable, but we're going to use one RedNet cable. It's going to help just so we can see what's going on here. And we've got this little RedNet meter, which I kind of showed some of this when I did the pneumatic stuff up there, but I didn't do a bunch of it on camera. So here's your chance to see how to really set this thing up and get it to go. So if I right-click on the cable, we can see all RedNet subnets are 0. So that's basically, there's 16 different colors of channels of redstone in here, and they're currently all 0. So here's your 16 different channels of redstone, and what we want to do is use 3 of them. Alright, so you can do a bunch of things. You can turn the reactor on and off, you can change the control rods, you can change things to change it from input to eject ways to whatever. What we want to do is we want to check the energy amount. So we're going to use this one. That's an output from the reactor, and we're going to just drag it and put it where we want. We'll put this one on white, and then we're going to want to turn the reactor on and off based on this, how much power is in it. So if there's too much power in it, we turn it off and it stops wasting Elorium, and if it's running low on power, then it turns itself back on, and off we go. So basically what this says is, on the white channel we're going to output the amount of power, and on the orange channel we're going to allow that to turn the reactor on and off. That's an input, and we're going to commit that guy right there, and then we're going to go to this RedNet controller, and there's a million things you can do here, but what we want to do is a bunch of ways to do this, but here's one. So click on less than, right? So if the amount of power is less than some value, then we want to turn the reactor on, right? So you can change these. What we want to do is say the I/O on the bottom side. Let's say right click will probably get me there faster. Where's bottom? There it is. I/O on the bottom side, which is white because we did the white channel for the output of the amount of power, and then a constant of, and this is going to take a lot of clicking unfortunately, but let's just say if it's less than 10%, we want to turn the reactor on. And how do we turn the reactor on? Well, you output to the bottom side. You have I/O going to the bottom side on the orange channel. So if the bottom side white channel is less than 10, then we're going to output to the bottom on the orange channel a high redstone signal, and it will turn the reactor on. So let's take a look now at what we got. All things are 0. Why are all things 0? Bottom side, yes. Okay, and did you take? Yes. White should tell me how much power is in there. Did I do something wrong? I don't want that one. I want this one. Let's turn it on for a second here. So I did go try this, and it does work. I'm just forgetting some settings. So let me fiddle with the settings for a minute here. That should work. White comes out. That's the bottom. If the white is less than 10, then turn the reactor on. Alright, give me a minute. Let me fiddle with this, and I'll come back and show you what I got when I've got it resolved. Aha! That's the problem. Okay, so that took me all of about 30 seconds. The problem was we want the down side. B is back. So it's up, down, left, right, front, back. B is not bottom, it's back. Okay, so if the I/O on the down side is less than 10, then I want to output on the orange channel actually, but I made it purple just for the moment to show. So the I/O on the bottom is currently 4, and it's outputting 15 redstone on the magenta channel, which is not hooked up in here, so it's not doing anything right now. So the reactor is off. So 4 because this is 4% full. And once we switch this to orange, now it magically turns on. Yay! So this is the simple way to do it. The problem is, as soon as this hits 10%, it's going to turn off. And then as soon as it gets below 10%, it's going to turn back on. And then it's going to get above 10%, turn back off. And it's just going to bounce right around 10% full. And that's not really what we want, because as you guys see, when you turn this thing on, it takes a little bit to heat up. And it's more efficient while it's hot, while it's running. So we want to turn it on, let it run for a good amount of time, and then turn it back off. Alright, let's just wait for it to hit 10% here. And we'll just see, as soon as it hits 10, it'll turn off. It'll actually make a bit more power because there's still heat in it. Yep, 10.2. That it? 10.2? Okay, and then, yeah, 10.1. So now it's starting to cool off. It stopped making power, and we're still using power upstairs, so there we go, 10%. As soon as it hits 9.9, it'll flip back on. Alright, so there you go, on, off, on, off, on, off. That's not what we want. Alright, so there's a better way to do this. What we want to do is we actually want to use one more channel, and we're going to use light blue, I guess, sure. Well, magenta is probably the next one, right? So we're going to keep this as is, and we're going to, oh right, so here we're just hooking this up. Oh right, no, that's exactly what we want. We want to select the magenta, and this says activate on level. So if I give it a high level on magenta, it'll turn on. If I give it a low level on magenta, it'll turn off, which is what we're doing now with the orange. But what we actually want is to make it a pulse. And we're going to switch this guy to pulse as well. And now if I give it a pulse on orange, it'll turn on or off. And if I give it another pulse on magenta, it will also turn on or off. So we're going to commit that. And then in here, we're going to say the same exact, yeah, this is perfect. We're going to say the same exact thing, except we're going to go greater than. So we did less than before. We're going to go greater than now on the purple channel. Why don't I see? I can't see things. Here we go. Greater than. So down, not very, yeah, there we go. Down, constant. Here's the one that takes all the clicking. I should have done this earlier. Alright, well I'll set this to like 90% later, but let's just make it 13, 14%. So if the white is above 14%, then output on the downside to the magenta channel. So we're going to have one pulse to turn it on and one pulse to turn it off. And you have 6 pages of stuff you can do here with these RedNet controllers. Okay, so I think that's all good. Yes. Where are we? We are at, yeah. Oh, it already did it, right. So so we're above 14% because of page 2 here. I said 14, right? And now give it a second to use up some of that power upstairs. And then once it gets down, well, actually it's going to take more than a second. It's got to get back down to 10% or 9.9% to kick back on. And that's exactly what we want. Of course, we'll change this to 95% or something like that. But Yeah, so now we see it's below the 14 threshold. It has not turned back on. Let me just take a quick break here. When it gets down to 10%, I'll kick it back on so you guys can see that this will indeed turn itself back on automatically. Oh, here we go. 10.3%. Man, watching these numbers is exciting, I tell you what. 10.1, 10.0. Okay, now we should see. There you go, online. Kicking back into power. Got our lovely 740 RF, well, 730. Yeah, see how it climbs up slowly there? You want to leave it on as long as you can leave it on and have it all nice and heated up, and that'll make a lot of power. So yeah, now we're down to 733 again because we've got more waste in here. Once that ejects, this is going to go up. It's going to be more than 740. But there we go. So 12, 13, and again, once it hits 14, then that other pulse is going to turn it right back off, and we'll be good. Now this thing holds 10 million RF, so probably I'm going to set the lower limit to like 5%. I mean, that's still half a million RF, and then set the upper limit to like 95. The reason you don't, there it goes, turned off. 15, huh? Oh, greater than 14, so 15, duh. Guess it doesn't do decimals. Anyway, so when it turns off, you see it's still generating some power, so you don't want to set it right to 100% or you're just going to be wasting some power. But there we go. I think this is much more, well, I know, it's much more efficient. I did fix that sign up a little bit. Much more efficient. It's like twice as much power, 3.5 times as efficient, something like that. And it's now automated, so I don't mind leaving this thing on while we are offline. So let's set this down to about 5. That should be fine. And we're going to set this up all the way to 90, and I can't find any buttons that make that go faster. So I have to click 80 more times or something, and I'll do that in a minute here. So that's it for today, folks. I think that's a much better reactor. It's still a little reactor, and again, you could still do this actually as a 3x1 internal, just this center row, and it would actually not be bad. The Enderium helps a fair amount, but it's not a huge deal, a huge amount. So if you wanted to do a smaller one, you could just do a 3x1 down the middle, and you do pretty well. The other thing that actually is even better is if you put a third fuel rod, control rod in the middle instead of that graphite block, then that's actually more efficient and it generates more power. But like I said, in this pack it takes the LX300s, which is kind of a pain, so I went with the graphite block for now. Once we have all the auto crafting and everything fixed up there, maybe we'll add that, or maybe Pack will want to make this thing 10 times as big. I don't know. You can also make this wider and put more Enderium around it, and that helps. That makes more power and more efficient. You can make it 2 high instead of 1 high, and that doubles your power, and it makes it a bit more efficient because your reactivity goes up. I mean, it's a limit of how much materials you have, how much power you need. You know, you can make this 7 high and 7 wide and put a whole bunch of control rods in it, but I was just interested in what's a good little reactor, and what we had done the first time was not really a very good little reactor. But this I am pretty pleased with. I think this is pretty good stuff. Unless you're running laser drills and a bunch of quarries and stuff, this should power an average base for a long time. Oh, and by the way, on quarry, we actually talked about making a quarry. Yeah, it's disabled. You can't make a quarry in this version of it. So there is no quarry. I don't know. Is there a laser drill even? I didn't look that up. Laser drill. Oh, that's right. Pack looked this up. Takes 500s, which takes 300s, which takes 100s, which takes, yeah. All right. So you could do a laser drill. Can't do a quarry. You know, maybe we'll make a big, huge reactor and hook it up to a turbine and all that, or maybe, you know, not. We'll see. But anyway, that's it for today, folks. Let me click that up to 95, and I think we'll be good. Catch you guys in the next episode. Hope you enjoyed it. See you later. But wait, there's more. Bonus footage time. Yeah, we're at 95.6. There we go, 96, and offline. Now I want to just check and see how much extra we get. Basically none. So I could even crank that up to like 98% or whatever, but there you go. So it does turn off. We have not yet consumed 1 Yellorium ingot. And we've made 10 million RF plus the fact that we're still powering the base upstairs. So it's outputting power this entire time. So I filled this and charged the base upstairs, and everything is fantastic. The other thing I just wanted to mention as I was kind of watching this thing we are almost at a full 1,000 millibuckets of waste. And let's just turn this guy on manually. You will notice he is lower, significantly lower than earlier. He's about 700 now, or 710. Yeah, a little under 710. We were at 740, I think, when we started this. And I think the theoretical max is actually closer to 800. Yeah, there it goes. Turned itself back off, which is just perfect. So especially on a small reactor, the amount of waste in here is going to cause an issue. Because the total capacity here is 8 buckets. If you make a big, huge reactor, it's 7 by 7 and it's 10 tall, well, 7 tall, whatever. You're going to have a huge amount of capacity, and that one bucket of waste is not really going to be a big deal. But when you make a small one like this, it is a big deal. So you may have to take a look and see what you can do to get that out of there. I do believe you can mess with this guy, and you can set it to no. Here we go. No. I don't know. I think there's a way to get this out immediately, and it's in a liquid form, I think. So maybe we can pipe this out all the time, and that would keep the waste out of the reactor core and give us better efficiency the entire time and more power, because that's like 100 RF per tick difference, give or take a little bit. So that is kind of a big deal. But anyway, it's working. We've got 10 million RF. This should run pretty much next to forever with a stack of Yellorium here. And the output will come right here. I don't think in this mode that it will eject. Yeah, it will not eject items into pipes and ducts. So I don't think it'll eject that, but I mean, honestly, it's going to take a long time to get a stack of cyanide in there. So, all right, that's it for real. I'm out of here. Later.